right, good morning, guys. Good evening to those in New York. Hope you guys are having a good Thanksgiving. I'll try and make today's reasonably fast. Can I just have a sound check? Hit me up in the chat if you can hear me okay and see the screen okay. All good. Sweet. All right, so we're going to start on the monthly and work our way through here. You can see on the monthly we have some clean pivot points here. We've got this one down here. We might actually, we haven't done this for a little while, but we'll draw a standard deviation pool on this low swing. It's back from October 2022. Yeah, no worries, JRCT. Nice to have you in here anyway. And then we have this clean low swing here, right? And this low becomes protected once we get the candle close above the high here that made it. It's a very strong year so far, pushing up month on month. And we finally just started to have our first pullback here for November, which we have swept the previous month low, and now we're heading back up. So it'd be interesting to watch. We can, we're almost there really. I don't expect we're going to get much more movement with our monthly here, but we can draw on a box from that previous month, and we're watching for closes above 50% of the previous candle. Hey BNB, which we can see we're above now. So we're bullish when we're above 50% of that previous candle. So it's going to be an interesting close to watch. So we basically just come down. We've had a sweep, like we look at on the hourly chart too, right? We get a previous hour sweep and then come back up, close above 50% of that previous candle, and then we'll tend to wick down and then continue up, and we can look for the high of that previous month to be drawn to. I just want to do a zone here, and we'll do a standard deviation pool from there, and then we'll look at some other time frames. So we have our low here. This is our high that made the low, and that's what caused this breakout, the break above. So we can do a standard deviation pull from this swing. You can see price breaks out, comes back, retests the zone on the monthly, and then we push up. If we draw in our standard deviations. So we normally look for price to expand to SD 1.5 and then go into a reaccumulation. We can count the reaccumulation with an SBS. So we have our breakout swing here that broke the high here. That's our first swing, 1. We get our pullback is 2. The next high that comes in becomes 3, and then we're looking for sweeps of 2 there, which we had here. You can also do that standard, do OTE fib from that low to the from 0 to 3. So we can come down, we get that 7-9 sweep, that swing failure pattern that we've discussed quite a few times, and then the push up from there. Sweep of 2 there. Equal lows. Very nice. So we've now expanded it up to SD 2.5 for another plausible reaccumulation to happen over the next few months. So we've had our break above here, and we're now in our 0 to 1 swing. Plausible 2s come in, and then we'll look for 3 above 1 at some stage next year. And then if we get another pullback, we look for a sweep of 2 into continuation later next year as well to 6. It's going to be interesting to see how this bit plays out. Into continuation up to SD 3.5, 4 and 4.5. So yeah, looking forward to seeing this monthly close, and if it's above 50% over there. We'll drop into our 6-hour paired with the monthly that we've been watching. And I'll just pop the higher time frame monthly on so we can see the whole candle. So this is our monthly candle here. And then this is our 6-hour time frame that we're using, and we've broken the monthly down into our quarters here. So we've had a market maker sell model for beginning of the month for the first 3 quarters. Down into a Q3 low. This is the manipulation of the month. So we opened high, created a zone. We've done a standard deviation pull from this zone, which gives us SD 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 here, and we've expanded down to 4.5. So plausible low of the month there coming in. I'll just put these other lines on. See, they've been respected nicely there. So just like we look at on the 5-minute candle with a H4, we find that manipulation swing tends to go down to the SD 4.5 for that whole candle. We're doing the same thing here for the monthly with the 6-hour. So we've reached the low. From here, we've then drawn out fibs like we do with our TGIF, and we're looking for retracements to that 0.2, 0.3, which we've already achieved, and now we're above 0.5, and previous month 50% is here. So we now have a low of the month zone here that we can have our standard deviation pull from. And we've got SD 1.5, which we smash through into our reaccumulation. Swing failure pattern here. We come down, we sweep the lows, coming back into the BISI here. We close back into the previous candle. And then we can target that high here, which just shoots straight up. SD 2.5. And now we're coming up to SD 3.5. Also had like relative equal highs here. We've got relative equal highs over here, relative equal highs here. Pretty keen to see how December plays out. Once this monthly candle closes as well, we can also look at the wick, and we can look at 50% of that to hold, I think, for bullish continuation. So it'd be nice for December to then do open low, high close, and hit some of these other liquidity points that we're watching. Finish off the year strong. It's going to be very interesting. That 200 SMA here. Alrighty, we'll jump onto our weekly. Such a nice looking chart, that 6-hour with the monthly. So weekly, we'd been watching this down close candle here from October 6th. We draw that on as a box here. We didn't get a candle close below. We did get the candle close below 50% though, but we've shot straight back up this week. So if this week closes above, if we get a body close above here, that previous weekly candle and wick, body close above here, then we can look at that low to be protected for continuation into next week. And then we can move the box from this candle over to this one. and then expect 50% of that to hold. And something like that. Should be interesting. So we come back down into this swing. So this low swing here is what caused this breakout, break above here. And still respecting that, and 50% of this swing. So yeah, looking forward to December and seeing how that next 4 weeks of candles plays out here. Volume imbalance in here. All right, we'll drop down to our daily. Monthly SMT. Let's take a look. You're looking at this low here. ES1. And YM. YM. So we have monthly SMT coming in with YM making the high low. And ES and NQ making the lower low there. All right, daily. So daily, we're looking for closes above here to lock this swing in. And then we can do a new standard deviation pull from here for a nice epic Santa rally. We've got that previous one that we've been watching from down here. This has been our main daily zone. We've been watching this for ages. We draw that across. We do our standard deviation pull from here. Low to the high that made it. And we've been watching that SD 1.5 for a very long time, which we finally came up and hit. End of October there. Come back, swept the equal lows here. And about to get that lock in for a change in state delivery here on the daily. If we mark out our SD 2.5 here, sort of the next area of interest from this zone, and lining up with 3 and 2.5 from this one here as well. Yeah, consider them. I don't tend to look at the monthly ones, or the cross correlation too much to get too fixated on just looking at NQ. So appreciate you pointing that out. Definitely, yeah, definitely worth noting with why I'm putting it in that high low for sure. So daily, so if we come into next week, if we get that close above here, we come into next week and then start pushing down to, say, midweek low. We can then, once we get a high up here, we can do an OTE pull from the low to the high and look for a PD raise within this zone. And we can look for 50% of that to ideally hold. And then take out some of this liquidity being built up here. It's very nice. Which is, you know, we've got the equal highs that we're looking at on that 6 hour there as well for the taking. All right, any questions on the high time frame? So we've had that nice bullish September, pushed up, and October. So we come down for October, open low, high close. And then we've had our open high, down to the low, and then we're coming to the close. I'm not expecting too much today for the end of the month, just like we look at each day, right? When we come into quarter 4 of New York PM, tend to just get that sort of consolidation towards the end. Looks like we're drawing up to this high here from Wednesday. All right, we'll jump into our current chart. Wow, cozy open. Cozy open the play today. I was wondering too if we'd, like after all of this, I hope you guys didn't get stuck in this. It's a good day just to stay away from the charts. Thanksgiving and bank holiday, straight into consolidation range of pain. I was wondering if it would have just opened and given us a gap and taken all the liquidity and just been really mean, but it's broken out nicely here. We can do a zone here if we want for Asia off of this swing here. This can be our quarter 1 manipulation here. Let's see if that can continue on to SD 1.5 there. 2.5 aligning with that previous day high from Wednesday. Still no sweep here. This is what I was expecting for the day, and that to be the draw, to get a sweep there and then continue up, and then we can use the NYPM high as the draw on liquidity. So for the daily chart setup, I've just continued on, because we had a holiday, continued on with Wednesday's levels. So PDH, PDL. We do our fixed range volume profile from PDL to PDH. This is showing our main volume was in here. FRVP POC there. If we did open and then come down, take that PM low and come back up, we've been interested in longs here, back up to the PM high. Yeah, not too much to do in this area. Like maybe later on in the day we can wait, see if we get a PDH sweep, lose PDH, come back in. This will probably happen in London, maybe here, sorry. Come up, so hit 2.5, 3.5, maybe 4 into London, and then we could look for a short back to the Asia low and that PM low. Also would align with TGIF, but it is a shorter day today as well, so we'll see how that plays out. Let me just draw that on, what that would look like. So say we come up to SD 1.5 here. And this normally this quarter does, this H4 does not much, so 2200. Into London, we come back up. Then we get our breakdown. Normally around that 3:30 into 4 o'clock. Then we can do a standard deviation pull from that high zone. And we look for shorts over here. And we also put on our weekly candle. So if we put that on with our PO3 indicator here, put that onto the week. Then we can draw our weekly fib for our TGIF. Let's move this over. All right, get that out of the way. So we'll do our TGIF pull from, like, what a candle. It's huge. from here. And then we keep adjusting this fib to wherever the high comes in. Right, so at the moment we're here. If we come back up to get a PDH sweep, we adjust it to here, and then we have our 0.2 and 0.3 levels, which are well down because the weekly's expanded quite a bit. And then ideally what we do is align the standard deviation pool with those levels, but that is down quite a bit. So then we would look at shorts. After we get that break, we're targeting 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. Oops. Like so. And then we want to look for alignment with those levels to then normally be the previous session lows. So, you know, Asia starting at 2000, that'll be. So that low is going to be up here somewhere, which will align probably ideally there with 2.5. All right, Sema, so regardless if it hits the previous projection reversal levels, there can be a manipulation leg present in each quarter, and we can draw projections on that. So I normally work with those Q3s, especially in London and New York. You'll see they present in quarter 3 more often than not. The best ones, you will have that clean, like previous session sweep into a reversal to give us a manipulation leg. And when you're doing continuations are the hardest ones. Like when we had, was that on Wednesday? This one I didn't use just because it's so big. I would probably have to go down into like a lower time frame here. But the main one here was from, I'll just put the quarters on as well. Time and price. All right, so this was a quarter 1 manipulation here. You tend to notice too when timing becomes off, which we've had since daylight savings, right? We had a lot more quarter 1 manipulations than quarter 3s. That's why a lot of other traders tend to struggle this time of year with timing being out. And there's been a lot of quarter 1s in Asia as well. So we have our change in state delivery here. We broke out. We swept London low, right? So we sweep London low, we get our change in state delivery, continue up, and we hit that SD 4.5 straight away. So if you manage to get into the trade here, which is pretty tough, right? Because this didn't come down and retest there. So you'd pretty much have to enter straight after the break here, after this 740 closed above. And then if you get that, then you're pretty happy because you've just hit that main expansion SD 4.5 and you don't have to worry about this leg. Whereas the pull from this, we would need to be in 1 minute, I believe. Let's have a look. Where are we? Wednesday. So this is our low. Like the high didn't get taken till over here. Oops. So still nothing really clean in here. But maybe, do we get an SMT in there? Let me have a look. Where are we? Wednesday. SMT here. What time was that one? That was at 10:25. Yeah. 10:25. ES. I should have put the chart up next to me. It was SMT in the quarter one, double SMT, yeah. All right. So you can, like, if you can't get it on the 5 minute, you can try and look for a manipulation zone on the 1 minute and get a standard deviation pool. Like, you're not always going to get like the really clean session sweep and a clean manipulation. I mean, it's great when you do, and we had it on in London here, right? This is what we want to participate in. Price action like this. You know, this is not fun to participate in. But London was beautiful. We get that. This was a quarter two. So quarter two break, we come back in during the 3 o'clock macro. So ideally, this is an open, high, low, close. So we're getting extra confluence with the open. The high is normally made or low with a 1 hour candle within that first 15 minutes of that hour. And we then have that standard deviation pool. And this comes all the way down to SD 2.5. So we get 2 TPs. So yeah, if you're getting price action like this and you're like, I can't get a zone to do a manipulation, I have to get a standard deviation pull from, which is like, it ends up being huge, right? For the quarter three, the lows here, we've already extended to this one. And you're just not going to get SD 1.5 from this. So just best to stay out when it's not as easily readable, I guess, for the manipulation swing in this situation. How do you make the decision when to enter? Sometimes it tends to push through. Sometimes it'll come back. So yeah. So or into an imbalance. So a lot of that comes down to practice and charting every day, and paying attention to those hourly macros. Right, because at this stage, we're trying to work out if this is a bullish SBS too, because we've got our breakout 1, 2, 3. We're coming down 4, and we could get a push through. So the extra confluence that helps here is we've got the break, we have got displacement here, we have our OTE pool, we've got clear invalidation. If it's not going to work, we'll start to get closes above the zone and above. Let me just put that OTE on, and above that BISI here, the inverted BISI. This one was such a good example. Just move this over. And then the 3 o'clock is opening up into that 3 o'clock macro. So we've got clear invalidation, candle closes up here. We then get this nice swing failure pattern here. So sweeps the high, closes back into this candle. So if we wanted a tighter stop loss, we could have it above that wick, because that's right at our invalidation point as well. And then we just get that nice breakdown, flips that fixed range volume profile POC, and continues to 1.5 and 2.5 nicely. Just missed my TP3 here, SD 3.5 for this low. But if you're having trouble on a certain day, Surma, and you can't find a zone in that session, then it just means that you don't have to take the trade. We only want nice, clear manipulation setups. Less trades is always best. Just quality over quantity, yeah. The other one that we had so we had that quarter three one here. This was back on the Tuesday. This was another really large one. Which then pretty much rolls into the next day to get that SD 1.5. Yeah, may have forced the projections, yeah. And as soon as you start forcing stuff or saying price has to do this, you know, is when you're going to have trouble. All right, shall we? Any other questions on the current daily setup? So we're still using Wednesday as the main framework, and then we've got that PM high PDH plausible draw for Asia and into London, and then we can look for possible reversal. Alternatively, if it's going to continue up, we would look for a PDH flip to support. So then it goes like this. And this becomes an SBS. Instead of the 5-minute change state delivery, we have our breakout 1, we get 2, 3, we come back, we sweep 2, find support at PDH, and everyone that shorts here gets wrecked, and we continue up. And that low swing here becomes our standard deviation pool for the next session. $394. Oh, the daily civvy, yeah. Which we need to be watching too, right? So yeah, we start breaking above the CE of that civvy. Pretty bullish. Which is this line here. It's pretty much where we've got our projections going up into. It's a very key area. All right. Let's. So as we're coming up to the end of the month, we'll jump into our monthly questions to work with next. I'll pop this in the chat as well. And quickly work through this. You guys are welcome to pop some answers or your own thoughts in the chat too while we go through it. Yeah, definitely. All right, so monthly performance review. We recommend that everyone does this every month. And I recommend everyone treats their trading as a larger period of time. You know, so many people get stuck on, oh, I've just got one account and I've got to keep working on that account, and you know, oh, I've made some profit today, or I've made a loss, I've got to make back that loss. We want to get rid of that mindset. I want to break everything into blocks with time frames. We want to build accounts as inventory, not just focus on single accounts. We are building a financial future, and we want to treat it like a business. So we're going to build inventory of accounts. We're going to, if you get a loss in an account, you want to have your daily loss limit for that account, and you move to the next account. We do not chase losses. Your account gets to a level, it stays at that level, we start the next day and it's at that level. We're not trying to build it up to what it was the previous day. We're starting from that level and then we keep building. And we want to get a nice equity curve going up. We might have a couple of bad days. It pulls back to our limits, and our limits are there to save our accounts. And then it'll keep going up. We're trying to get a big equity curve over multiple accounts. So how can we help with at the end of the month? We want to do monthly performance reviews. We want to break down to what we've been doing. So questions: what worked well this month? What didn't work well this month? We want to be writing them down. We recommend everyone has their own Discord library where they put this stuff into, they put the daily reviews into. And by writing this down, even if you don't have your Discord set up, use a book or a journal that you're writing, and you have to write it down. We want to work out what isn't working well, because we need to remove the things that aren't working well and we need to continue with what is working well. It's also good to note when you're doing this for a certain month, because some things might work better in other months than they do in others. Like with our quarter manipulations at the moment, we're seeing a lot more Q1 manipulations than Q3 manipulations. So that needs to be noted for November. You guys are welcome to put anything in the chat or your own thoughts in the chat of what you've done, what worked well for you this month or what didn't, and share with each other. Which session did you perform best in? For me, it's been London for the month. With November, because we have daylight savings, actually Australia's daylight savings and New York's daylight savings pushes us even further apart, so I can't even do New York at the moment, whereas in September, New York AM was my best performing session. What time of day was your most successful trades? What do you guys find? Do you have your most successful trades in what time of day? So I'm going to pass an eval trading slow. Rush to get payout. Blue funded. London NY AM best session. New York PM disaster. So that's good now, right? Because now you can take it even slower in the PM session, or not trade at all and just tape read until you get a better understanding. 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. Yeah. So then you can break down that time, right? If 5 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. is your best time, you can look at, okay, what are the main candles in there? So we have like our 6 to 10 4-hour candle is the main 4-hour block within there. Where is the manipulation of that 4-hour candle coming in? And then how can you catch the expansion of that? So if we're getting Q1 manipulations for New York, ideally that is the manipulation of the 4-hour candle, and you want to catch the body of that move, ideally to SD 4.5, and then you're done for the day. You're like, okay, I don't need to do PM. Just caught the main daily expansion and the main 4-hour expansion of the day within that 6 to 10 period. BNB London and New York AM. Nice, guys. Nice, Mr. Q. Past 10 accounts. That's great. So I recommend for everyone to go a little bit easier in December, but for each month, try and build that foundation. So try and start with just passing 3 evaluations. You build up 3 funded accounts. Don't just do one evaluation, pass it, and then try to get that account straight to a payout, because you're putting so much pressure on yourself and you're not creating an inventory. We're trying to create an inventory so we can spread our risk out. Then we can go smaller in size, but we can risk sync into multiple accounts, and then you get a lot more wins. And they're not $10,000 wins. It might be 500 on one account, 200 on another account, 600 on another account, but all of that adds up, and you're then not putting all this pressure on one account, which one bad day can damage that account quite badly. So my recommendation for December, or even if you want to have December into January, is to work on just getting past 3 accounts. Don't trade any of the fundeds until you've built past 3 accounts and you have 3 fundeds. Then on the next month, try to get that to 5 fundeds, and then trade just 1 to 2 micros on those 3 funded accounts at the same time, with the main goal of continually building up funded accounts. We're building our inventory, and we want to hold on to our inventory. So your goal for that next month is to maintain those 3 funded accounts and not lose them, while also adding additional accounts. All right, we'll continue with the questions. Did you journal your losing trades? Journaling losing trades, very important, because that's what we're trying to work out, where we didn't do well this month. Did you enter trades too soon? So you had the issues with the trading. Did you enter trades too late? Did you take profit too soon? This is where using the standard deviation levels works really well, because we have fixed profit targets. The only time it's going to be taken too soon then is if the stop loss comes back and we've got it just above break even to protect the trade. Did you take profit too late? Did you risk too much, which is what 90% of people do? And did you risk too little? So definitely worth working through these and working out the things that you're doing incorrect and improving on them for the next month. What actions have you taken to fix these issues? How can you do more of what worked this month? How can you do less of what didn't work? And if you could rewind the month, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now? What's one thing you're proud of this month? Something I like to have in my Discord library as well, in my personal one, is I like to have a spot for certificates that I have. Every time I have trades where every account hits TP, so I get each SD level all the way to 4.5, I have a really nice winning trades channel that I put into there that I always like to look at. Especially if I'm just going through maybe 2 losses or a couple of break evens, I can go back and look. I'm like, I've just had majority of the week of wins, and if I've just had 2 losses in one session in one day, that I don't have to worry about that. I can just be done for the day. I know my edge wasn't in for that day. It's definitely worth noting the things that you are proud of and what you do well, and your really good trades. Like, make sure you're recording them and you have them to view, so you can look back on, when you're starting to struggle a little bit or you've had a couple of bad days. Yeah, psychology is such a huge thing. All right, guys. Well, I just wanted to have a quick session today and go through those high time frames. Not, like I said, not expecting too much from today being end of month. That sweep and push down would be nice. And I definitely want to get you guys working on those questions, doing that every month. At the end of every month, I will keep bringing them back up. We can talk about it. Everyone can discuss it again in the chat. I think it makes the sessions a lot better when everyone does put their answers into the chat like you guys have done. Yeah, even weekly reviews. Yeah. And yeah, get rid of those bad habits, size down, build some inventory. No worries. Appreciate you all tuning in and getting involved, jumping in the chat. Sessions are a lot more fun when everyone's getting involved. Thanks, guys.